so humble.
I see you read them.
Good.
That's good.
I think that I'm not going to time this next one. They have a good sense of time.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi. Carrie-on Barreto from Life.
How you doing, Dorian Grant?
Nice to meet you, Dorian.
Good to see you again.
It's good to see you again as well. How have you guys been so far this morning?
Great. We've been catching up. You
Good.
know,
Yeah.
have a lot in common. So.
Yeah, like what?
We're both hikers.
Both hikers? I heard that you're on your way to the Grand Canyon.
Yes, I am very excited.
Bringing you there. Have you been before?
No, I'm going to go rappel down the largest cliff in the Grand Canyon, so I'm very excited.
Have you been to the Grand Canyon before?
I have.
Yeah.
You know, we go to Yellowstone, and so as much as we can.
It's really interesting. I went once, and I feel like it looks like a giant backdrop. So I kept joking with my family that I think if you throw a rock and try to hit it, it's just going to keep going because you're going to hit a backdrop soon. So that's always how I looked at it. Now, I know we do have those 20 minutes today. Does that still work for both of you?
Yes.
Great. Well, here's my business card. And I know we have been working through communication, so you can have my direct contact and then hand that to you as well, just so we can have everything solidified there.
Okay.
Now, going into this discussion today, I know that initially we've been talking with Paycom. We were able to check their boxes and really figure out what it is they needed to make this a profitable acquisition while meeting their needs. But I know that you have had some different changes of heart going into this conversation, and you actually called and said that you're no longer interested in moving forward. So I was really interested in getting some insight there and seeing what caused that change.
Sure. I mean, basically talking with Andy, as well as talking to one of my good friends in the UK, and him make me aware that doing business with the Yankees could create bigger losses for myself versus dealing with Brexit. And primarily that's because of security issues that you're having with prominent U.S. companies.
Okay. And when you say Yankees, can you elaborate more on what you mean by Yankees? What are some of the perceptions that your friends have when they discuss with you?
Well, just doing our research, companies in the U.S. With some of the prominent companies such as a Marriott, who've lost over 500 million of customers' files that were stolen, to also Equifax, which is a credit facility, over 143 million, to eBay, 145, and then Facebook has 50 million users where their data was stolen. So that's a big concern of ours.
So it's more, the concern is more revolved around if working with an American company can actually follow those regulations that you're currently seeing with the EU and GDPR going on in Britain.
Correct, because I don't have those issues.
Okay, great. So today, if I'm able to work with you and go through some of those things that we did discuss and show you how we can provide that value in keeping you secure, would you be interested in having that conversation being reopened again?
Yes, I would.
Great. And then from your perspective, going into this meeting today, I'd love to hear from both sides, but what are you guys hoping to get out of this meeting? What are your motives going in? I know you're focused on making sure we can be secure. What about you?
I think that proceeding with the merger and with Tiff's idea to bring on a merger with payroll options.
Got it. So if I'm able to show you how we can work together to meet those compliances that you need to and stay secure, we can move forward with that merger today.
We can take the next steps, yes.
Take the next steps necessary. Got it. Well, that is what I'd like to focus on today. I'd really just like to learn more about those concerns that you have revolving security, see where ReliQuest can fill in those gaps, and then hopefully discuss more on how this can be a strategic partnership moving forward. Does that sound okay for the both of you?
Sounds good.
Great. Now, with this being said, I know we're all here today. Does anyone else need to be involved in this discussion?
No.
Okay, great. Now, going back to the needs that you talked about, you were worried about the security challenges that are in Britain. What are some of the things that you're personally concerned about?
Well, it's actually the security issues here in the U.S.
that
we're concerned about. Because like I said, some of the prominent U.S. companies have had data security issues, and we don't face those in the U.K.
Okay. And then from your perspective, I'd love to hear your feedback. I know you are the U.S. company with those current challenges, that with all the data regulation going on, how have you been combating those challenges?
With Jay and his team. You know, Jay and his team have been keeping up with everything, and lots of work, lots of effort going into it. but that's been our solution so far.
Absolutely. And after speaking with the Paycom team, Tiff is really focused on driving that revenue and being able to move into that new market. So she understands the need for the data governance and making sure you stay compliant, while Jay has his team focusing on security. But he did mention that his solution was bringing on more people and adding overtime hours. So I actually did some numbers on that and found that if you look at the recurring cost of $350,000, including overtime for those extra employees, you're looking at $750,000. So with ReliQuest, we're able to wrap all those needs together and show you how we can make that solution happen. Now, those are the different things that we've talked about moving just up to this point. So with that being said, what are some other things that we need to be able to move this forward today?
Well, one of my other concerns is that I'd like to know about is because we're over in Europe, I work with different companies in France, UK, Germany, and Spain. How do you handle the language barriers working with different companies in those regions?
Okay. So what is the implication of those language barriers? How do you currently handle those?
Well, we have people on our team that can who have expertise in different languages.
Okay, great. So if you were to actually go forward with this acquisition today, from my understanding, usually when companies do acquire one another, they keep those same employees. Is that similar to the situation?
Yeah,
Probably you're talking about, yes, because it's a merger.
Yeah.
It's a merger.
Exactly. So if it's a merger, would you still have those same people that understand the languages on your team?
Yes, we would. We just have to make sure there's no security issues as well.
Okay. What security issues stem from people that come from those language barriers?
That's a good question.
I think with ReliQuest and Gray Matter being a U.S. company, it's more them communicating back.
Okay.
Right? How are they going to handle, French and German and the software as well?
Okay, so it's more of how are we able to have a system that can handle all of these different inputs as well as the different cultural barriers that it's going to be seeing.
Yes.
Absolutely. So what if, what are the implications if there's a security system moving forward that can't handle those different barriers? How's it going to impact the company as a whole?
We probably won't be able to do the merger.
Yeah. Now, I know that with everything going on in the EU, and I know the UK is currently experiencing a lot of change, there has been a lot of certainty around what's actually going to happen. So to remain innovative, it's really important to stay agile. With that being said, moving forward, what are some ways that you guys are planning to remain innovative and stay agile to keep up with the changes in the space?
Well, I think one of the things we've been talking about is, as it relates to ReliQuest, is why are you more superior than us just hiring our own staff of experts to accomplish that?
Got it. So if we were able to show you how the ReliQuest system can actually integrate all these different things you're looking at, make sure that we avoid those cultural barriers and still give you the security you need, is this something that you'd be interested in seeing today?
Yes.
Great. Well, I would love to jump into it. I know that you guys do have the main challenge we focus on, but it's all surrounding how can we actually provide you that value. So I do have a few things prepared. Now, some things you did mention are those cultural barriers that create different ways to communicate. How can we integrate that into one, as well as staying compliant with the different governance? Is that correct?
Yes.
All right. So one thing I did want to touch on is security is a team sport. So I know as we go into this, it's not necessarily American and Britons having different views. This is more us all having the same business drivers, and that's to grow and retain our customers. I know when you initially spoke with Tiff, you did say that all of the turmoil and changes are causing you to lose customers. So partnering with Paycom can actually help you gain their trust again. I'm going to show you how that can happen. So with ReliQuest, one main thing we focus on is that a lot of companies like to outsource. So we are not an outsourcer because we understand that with outsourcing, you're sending your data offsite and you're creating increased challenges for people to either get into it, have compliancy issues, or lose more visibility. And currently Paycom is working on a do-it-yourself model where they have a fragmented environment, which is why Jay is looking at hiring more people, looking at overtime. But the problems with that are if you're hiring more people to stay inefficient, you're just going to have more people doing things the wrong way. So what we do is we look at it from a security model management standpoint, where we're not here to replace you. We're here to provide you what you need necessary to do your jobs better that can actually drive that consistency and evolution. So going back to your point on the different cultural barriers, our systems are actually able to connect all the different tools your security teams are using, which on average, it's about 52 per team. So with that being said, I know Paycom has 52 tools. With your current security you have in place, around how many tools do you know your team are using?
Right now, we're about 35.
35 tools. So with that being said, we're looking at, not the best at math in my head, 77 different tools. Now, how are you able to actually track which of those tools are being the most efficient?
Our people do it.
Your
Jay's
people
people do it. Yes.
Well, Jay did tell me that with that process of people trying to figure out what's actually efficient, he's currently acting on 70% false alerts. So it seems like a lot of his time is spending more on those threats and not necessarily seeing if you're getting the money value out of the tools you're using. So what we do with ReliQuest is we can unify all these 77 tools, see which ones are actually working to provide the most efficient use of what your money is, and then see where you can reallocate your sources. So maybe you guys only have to go to 30 tools, but you have to be able to have the analytics to back that up. Now, if you're able to actually see all the tools you're currently working with, see if they can provide you those cultural barriers you need and figure out which ones are the best to keep, how do you think that could save you some money?
Have a big impact.
Yes.
Big impact. Great. Now, going back to the cultural barriers, the way we work is that by integrating all these different technologies, we do work with a variety of companies. Now, we have a security operations center in Dublin, which allows us to remain compliant with GDPR. I know the main things are you have to have that data on site. You have to let customers know that their data is being used a certain way, and you have to also meet any requests within 30 days. So what we do is we avoid the black box environment. So black box is just the idea that there's so much going in, but who knows what's happening in the middle and how it comes out. So the way that we're able to help you is we give you insight into what that black box environment is. So if a customer requests their data, you can actually respond. So what would happen if someone asked you, hey, I want to see what's currently happening in this, but with Jay's teams being so flustered with all the noise that's currently going on, they're not able to deliver in those 30 days.
Potentially lose customers.
Potentially as customers. And on top of that, you also have added fines from GDPR regulations if you're to lose that, which can be up to 2% of annual revenue. So with both of your revenues combined, what is that looking at? What's that revenue number?
About 750.
Yeah, 750 million.
750 million. So just 2% of that's already in the millions as well. So not only are we helping you save those tools costs, we're also helping you mitigate any risk that you might see from making those business decisions where you can't communicate with your customers. Now, I know I've been saying a lot so far about how we can help you look at some of those security challenges, but I really do want to make this interactive and see what you guys are looking for personally. What are some things that have been coming up, some things that I might not have touched yet?
You've covered most of, what the concerns are. I think cost is really the next thing.
Okay, so moving into the cost, and it's the same for you. You feel like
Yes.
you've covered your concerns. Great. Well, I worked with my technical team to develop an estimated pricing for you, and we're currently looking at around 400, so exactly about 414,000. Now, I also did this in pounds and euros because I wasn't completely sure if we were all looking at US currency, but we're looking at 414. And this takes into account all of the different tools you're currently using in your team, but this is also an estimated cost. So if you have to go back into that discussion, we can.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So after seeing the cost of ReliQuest, talking more about how those tools and benefits can be used to actually merge both of your guys' goals into one, which is keeping your customers' data safe while growing as a company. Are you interested in opening that conversation again? I'd love to hear your guys' viewpoint.
Yes, it would be.
Great. Well, I did go ahead and bring that service agreement here today. So if there's anything we need to add to it in terms of these are certain requirements we need to see from you, we can do that as well. But I'd love to go ahead and move forward.
Well, I'm on vacation.
Mm-hmm.
And came in, Andy's request, so I'd have to send this to my attorneys over in the UK to read over, make sure everything's good there, and if so, then we'll be in pretty good shape.
Okay. I did do some research and I saw that those administrative process can take up to around 30 days. So what does that timeline look for you and your attorneys?
Well, I'm on vacation this week. I'm going to spend another week here in the US with some other business matters. And during that time I'm on vacation, I'll be able to send that agreement to the attorneys.
Okay, great. Well, I would actually love to be a part of that conversation. I also have my time. This has been one of my top priorities, making sure that you guys can merge together to actually see this through. So if there's any way I can actually go into that meeting with your attorneys, make sure that they have everything they need on our end to actually facilitate that discussion, I'd be happy to do so. Now again, happy vacation. Thank you for meeting with us again. But you guys did say this is ASAP. So what are some things that your attorneys would have to look into to make this move forward? Just
And I don't want to speak for Dorian, but mostly on these, the attorneys may redline some things and come back and have questions, and we'll get you involved if that's the case.
okay, great. So just making sure we get all the red tape covered and then moving forward with this in the future.
Correct.
Great. Well, why don't we go ahead and sign a service agreement just to say that we are looking at this as a partnership, and this is just going to be an A-OK that we're all on the same page moving forward, and then you can go ahead and send that to your attorney as well. So I do have two. You can take one and provide it to them, and I'll also email it to you so you can start that process. Does that sound right?
I'd like, before I sign anything, I have them read it over.
Okay. See where you're coming from. Sounds great. Well, I'll go ahead and get that sent to you then so you can send it to your attorneys, and then from your perspective, keep you into this discussion as well.
Yeah, while he's on vacation, I'll be working to make sure things move along at a good pace, because we're still committed to trying to get this done by the end of the year.
Absolutely, and I'm just as committed. I know with everything going on, it's really important we stay on top of things. So again, thank you for taking the time during vacation. I think it says a lot that you are committed to what this solution provide and how we can help you guys regain those customers and continue to grow.
Okay.
Sounds great. Well, I will go ahead and leave you with the hard copy and email it just in case.
That'd be great.
And please, now that you have my contact information, let me know if anything comes up. I would love to be a part of that discussion and meet your attorneys face to face.
Okay.
Sounds great. Well, thank you so much. I hope
Thank
you
you.
enjoy the rest of your vacation and you can keep things running smoothly.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you so
Have a
much.
nice day.
You
Thank
too.
Trip right over that.